Hello, folks. I am back with my first firearms review of 2020, and it's going to be something different. I've only did one review on a revolver on my channel some time ago, but this is my second review of a revolver, and it's going to be on the Kimber K6s DASA. DASA meaning double action, single action. And let me pull that out here. It comes in the cardboard box. Here you see the firearm comes with a case that you can keep it in, or you can pretty much use this to take to the range. But we've all seen what's in boxes before, so let's not go with that. Okay, here it is. This is the Kimber K6s DASA. Uh, Kimber got into the revolver game a little bit ago, and they came out with the regular K6s, which had an internal hammer. So this is one of their the first ones that they came out uh, with an external hammer, so you could have the double action, single action. Inside, as you see, it has a 6 round capacity uh, in the cylinder. This is just for safety purposes here, so you know it's unloaded. And let me get into some specs. Uh, it is a 357 Magnum firearm. Uh, it will fire 38 special and 38 plus P. And like I said, it's a 6 round capacity in the cylinder. It has a 2-inch barrel, and which is really nice for concealed carry or pocket carry if you can do it with this, depending on your situation. The weight unloaded is 23 ounces. Loaded, I believe, is 24 or a little more. The length of the firearm is 6.62 inches, which is the total length. The width is 1.39 inches. The frame is stainless steel. As you see on the back, it is serrated in the back here. And it has a finish of a brush stainless finish to also help with glare and also to deal with any type of corrosion or any type of wet conditions that you may have this firearm in. It does have the walnut boot grip right here. There are other versions of this particular firearm. They do have I believe, a 3-inch and a 4-inch version of this. So your grip size can also be bigger. Also, it has a 3-dot sighting system here. It kind of reminds me of a Novak sight in the rear here, but it's a 3-dot Novak sighting system. It's not Novak, but it is a 3-dot sighting system. Uh, with a nice front blade right here, and if I could just focus it, that's how your sight's going to look. Also, the sight radius is going to be four roughly about 4.1 inches. So that gives a good sight picture and will help aid you with your accuracy, even though it is a short barreled revolver here. The trigger is a very unique trigger. It is a non-stacking trigger, so it gives a very smooth trigger pull. And this is what Kimber is really pushing with this firearm, is that it has that smooth trigger. The trigger pull comes in double action at 9.5 to 11.5 pounds, which is really nice, and it's smooth. So there's not a stacking issue. Also, in single action, we're talking about a trigger pull of 3.25 to 4.25 pounds. So that is a really good trigger pull, especially if you want to make those precision shots shooting in single action. And I'll tell you more about the shooting impressions later. And like I said, uh, Kimber is really ramping this up about the trigger, how it doesn't stack, and how well this firearm does with its shooting capabilities. And I did compare this at the store with a couple other revolvers, particularly a couple Smith and Wessons, because I am a Smith and Wesson fan. But once I pulled this trigger, it's all she wrote. Another thing about this firearm with the trigger pull. It's really smooth and it's very crisp in single action. You just have that, and it's just crisp and smooth. With I was comparing this to the regular K6s, uh, the, and that's the one without the hammer. And for some reason, I didn't like it. For some, when I looked at the cylinder as it turned, it had a weird like turn for me for some reason, and that's why I didn't go with it. It felt like the pull was smoother in the double action, single action versus the regular double action only of that particular version. The cylinder, the other claim to fame with this firearm is the cylinder. The cylinder is let me just eject this out. The cylinder is very unique that it's the smallest cylinder for a 357 Magnum that you can put 6 rounds in this firearm, and that's really unique, and it's really a good thing because especially if you want to conceal carry this, you would probably want something that has a small cylinder instead of having a large cylinder like some of the other firearms. Because if you get any smaller, most of the Smith and Wessons, their cylinders are usually about 5 round capacities on them. And I know that there are some other firearms out there that are comparable to this cylinder size, but they only are going to be 5 round capacity. Uh, and the cylinder width is 1.39 inches wide. So that's to give you an idea that this is a really compact cylinder. What's unique about this also, and it's not really so much unique, and a lot of companies such as Smith and Wesson, Ruger, and so forth, it has an internal hammer block or with the transfer bar. Now I'm used to the older. I have a. I'm sorry I didn't bring it out. My older uh, Smith and Wesson 29 Classic has a pin, and there's like a pin that's connected to the hammer spur, and that would come out towards, let's say, this end. But the thing about it was that due to safety concerns, if you drop that firearm and that had that little pin, it would probably start a negligent discharge if you drop it. And that's why sometimes, if you watch old cowboy movies or whatever the case may be, they would leave one chamber open and close it on that open chamber so there won't be an accidental discharge. But late in the newer model of revolvers, they tend to not have that hammer, that pin on that hammer, and they have, I don't know if you can see it, but inside there, there's like a uh, the transfer bar or whatnot that's there. So it's all internal there. It blocks the mechanism from discharging it. So that's what the new systems are with revolvers. Outside of that, one of the other things is for me, like I said, with the internal one, I didn't like the way that hammer. I mean, not the hammer, the cylinder moved around. So it made it a little different. So that's why I went with this one. One of the things I like about this is, and I'm going to tell you about the shooting impressions. Um, One of the things that I had to get used to with this, I was originally trained in my academy days to fire a revolver like this. And I decided to try it this way But trying it this way, I felt as though I didn't have a lot of control holding it this way. So doing what I used to do from my academy days, to me, I had better control, and I was able to fire this with less, especially when you have a firearm this size in a revolver and you're shooting 38 special with plus P or 357. It does come into play with 357 as opposed to 38 special. And one of the things, if you're not used to a revolver, you got to pay it very attention. If a lot of people are shooting semi-auto firearms, the problem is they'll have their hand here, and sometimes you'll get the the powder burn from coming from this side or coming up this far. But because you got to remember that when that projectile is coming through the cylinder here, it's going to leave the gases are going to come through, and you could burn your hand, burn your thumb if you're holding it like this. So it's either hold it like this or hold it like that. I know a lot of you people know this, but there are some people that don't, and I just saw somebody do that recently on a range. Uh, and the other thing about holding is I was trained to hold up high and tight. Well, the problem I had with high and tight when I was shooting the 357 rounds is I don't know if you can see it. It's not going to come up. I just cleaned it up, but that's where it ripped off the skin because I was holding high and tight, and under that recoil as it comes back in 357 caliber, it just this portion just dug in and ripped the skin off right there. So I readjusted my grip and just went back old school. Didn't have a problem at all. So let me go with the targets. So I picked this firearm up at Clayton's. That's one of the ranges I go to. I've been going there for several years, and I purchased a lot of firearms through them. And Clayton's had this out there. They're in Horsham, PA. And these were my first targets. I'm trying to get a feel for how high, how low. So you see these marks right here. The shot, I shot a little bit too low, a little off, and I'm trying to get used to the double action pull so I can be on target. Same right here. I started walking it maybe because I'm not used to with the cylinder. I'm getting reacquainted. Like I said, this is all 38 special at this point, target rounds. So now I'm getting used to where I want to be, but I still have a little bit work to do on this. And as you see, I shot way off the target right here. I probably jerked the trigger because if you're not used to a single action, and when you're in single action mode, it can surprise you. So you need to get used to using single action. And by the way, these targets were shot in single action and double action. It was a combination. And here it is in 357. Now, in 357, I was just trying to gauge where I wanted to be. Again, this is a combination of single action and double action. And these shots here, I'm going to say a few of these were in single action, and a few of these were in double. I think the double action ones were a little low, and these are all the single actions right here. Uh, and like I said, my that little injury that I had on my hand that came from only one shot where I fired and then I changed my hand position. So with that hand position, the regular crossover hand, I shot a lot better, a little more accurate to what I want to be. Uh, this little firearm is really nice firearm. The thing about it is, I noticed a very big difference, not only in recoil, but that muzzle blast from 357 rounds got a lot of people's attention because they didn't know what kind of firearm I had at that point. So I shot 50 rounds of 38 special and 50 rounds of 357, and It's a really, really stout firearm. It shoots very accurate. I just want to get used to it a little more and be able to be a little more proficient with it. This firearm was basically not only a collection firearm and not only a home defense firearm. This is the I want to walk to the grocery store type firearm or or something like that because you just want something that sometimes you want to get out of Dodge with. And all the other firearms I have are fine, but you sometimes you don't need a big gun with high capacity. You just need something just to get you by uh, at a moment. You know, you don't need. Sometimes you don't need something with high capacity. But other than that, the I want to show you my defense loads that I'm going to use for this. Defense loads is going to be the HST, and as you see, I don't normally like to show ammunition with firearms, but this is sealed, so there's no danger with that. But this is the defense load I'm going to use. As you see, it's a very unique shape here. It's a 38 Special plus P130 grain jacketed hollow point, and it has that kind of like that flat top there. So that's all I have at this point regarding this firearm. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm really surprised that Kimber is really making a quality revolver. Uh, I'm really surprised at that. Usually, when a company tries to make a revolver or go into something that they don't normally do, they usually have some issues. And not, I'm going to tell you now, I'm happy with this. Well, that's all I have, folks. So, happy shooting, stay safe, hashtag 2A.